All right, so this video is going to be on marketing mastery philosophy. So make sure you're taking notes because there's going to be a lot of information that we're going to go through today to give you the foundational mindset that is going to help you to become absolute masters within your marketing. So to start off with, we're going to go through the first slide of what is marketing. So I want you to ask yourself this question right now before I even reveal this. What do you think marketing is? Somebody was to ask you, what's the definition of marketing? What would you tell them in a sentence? Right? And write that down to start off with. What do you think marketing is? I'll give you a few seconds. You can pause the video if you want, get it written down, and then we'll move on. So, marketing, simply put, as the Google definition says, it is the activity or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising, right? So what the Google definition is telling us is that really it's two things. It's market research and it's advertising. Market research and advertising. Those are the main two things. And that's what we're going to be showing you and focusing on over the next few slides, how you can become masters of market research and also advertising so that you can sell products or services through promotions with a business. And when we look at the origin of the word as well, marketing comes from the Latin word mercari, which means to buy, right? It means buy. So when you think of it like this, the great thing about marketing is that marketing makes sales obsolete. Now, this is where some people will get things twisted because they're like, okay, we don't need salespeople then. But I don't believe that's the case. I just believe that with great marketing, it can allow us to help the sales process to become so much simpler and so much easier as opposed to becoming this persuasive, psychology based, difficult thing. Marketing at that point, if it's great, it means people go in and instead of having to be consulted, they're just going to take their order because they already know through being educated exactly what to buy. So that's just something to understand there. And I want to show you right now something else that helps to build on this concept as well. So this is the pyramid when we're looking at where people are at in terms of every single market, right? So what happens is in most markets, people have a range where they're in terms of the ratio that we're seeing over here. So we've got 30% of people at the bottom, right? And I want to show you all three levels at the bottom. That equates to 90% of people. And so this is why marketers are so important because 90% of people are either not interested and they know they're not interested, they don't think that they're interested, or they're not even thinking about it. So your job as a marketer is to really take somebody from being not interested in something to then building that interest to the point where they're becoming open to it. Because think about how much more easy it would be for a salesperson in a conversation to have a conversation with somebody who is open to the idea as opposed to not even thinking about it, don't think that they're interested, and know they're not interested. And that's what the job of a marketer really is. It's about helping the salesperson or helping the sales funnel process with increasing the conversion rates. So when we're looking at this pyramid, right, as marketers, we can target different people in the pyramid based on where they're at. Now, the easiest thing to do, and this is what the marketers who aren't very good, right, the ones who are amateurs, the amateur marketers are only going to target the people at the 3%, the buying now. And so this is a very short-term play. It will work, and this is how you're going to get quick results, but this is not how you're going to win in the long game, because in the long game, you need to be able to also get people and have a strategy for how you can get people from knowing they're not interested to all the way to buying now. So you want to have a balance between both, right? You're not just going to play the long game, or you're not just going to play the short game. You want to have a strategy for how can you attack this whole pyramid so that you've got people coming through your funnel knowing that they're not interested all the way to buying now. And that's when you know you got something really special. So this also relates to something that we call the 5 stages of awareness. The way that the 5 stages of awareness works is that you have people that go all the way from being unaware in something to then becoming what we call most aware. So every single step of the way, there is a level of awareness that the prospect is gaining. So we've got the first level, which is they aren't aware of their desire or their need to solve their problem, or they won't honestly admit it. So they're not at that stage of awareness yet where they see that it's even important for them to openly admit that they have a problem. What you have to do as a marketer is you have to channel that desire to then them becoming what we call problem aware. And that's where they know they have a problem to solve, but they aren't aware of any specific solutions. So through your marketing, you've helped them to decide that they have a problem, but they just don't know that there's any specific solutions, or they don't know what those solutions are. And that's where you can start giving some different education. So think about it. If somebody's unaware, what do we need to do in terms of marketing? We need to put out content that educates them on the problems that they don't even know that they have. And this is what some genius marketers do, such as the news. The news is one of the best marketing agencies out there, right? Because what they do is they will educate you on the problem first. Think about what happened when they sold all of those coronavirus, like vaccines, and also they sold all of the masks, things like that. What happened first? Ooh, we have a big problem. There's a pandemic. And they give it a juicy name as well. We call it the COVID-19. This is how you know you're good. It's when you even have a brand or you even have a name for your problem that you just create out of thin air. We call it the COVID-19. Everybody's got the COVID-19 now. And then they literally sold the problem to people who didn't even know that the problem existed 6 months beforehand. And now everybody has this problem. Okay, cool. So now when they have the problem, now what? Okay, there's probably going to be a solution that comes out of this. And it just came out of thin air, like they saved us, they're the hero. Amazing. What's the solution? We call it the vaccine. What's the solution? We call it the mask. What's the solution? So now you can start to market the solution and educating people about the benefits of your solution and why that's superior to any other option out there. Why is the mask superior to just social distancing? Why is the vaccine superior to just waiting it out, right? And all the other things that they were saying. And so that's where the education-based marketing comes in. And then finally, it's product awareness. And product awareness is where now people don't just know that there are all these solutions out there, but they now know that your solution is superior to everybody else's because of the actual evidence that you've shown. So like it says, they know your product exists, but aren't completely aware of it, all that it does, or aren't convinced of how well it does it. So then they know that it's there. Solution awareness is where, I think I got mixed up there, but solution awareness is where they start to know about the different solutions that are out there, but they don't know that yours is there, right? So they know that there's social distancing. They know that there's being in your own house, and they know that there's the masks, but they don't know that there's a vaccine. Let's say the vaccine is a product. When they become product aware, they know that there's a vaccine, right? And then the final thing with most awareness is where they know that there's a vaccine, and they also now know that your vaccine is better than anything else out there. And they might just not have got around to purchasing it. And that's what we do with marketing. We help people go from unaware all the way to most aware. This is what the same companies that iPhone has done. This is what companies like Enagic have done. If you guys know about Enagic, this is what all these companies have done to take people from unaware to most aware. So this is what our job is with marketers. And if you can understand this, I'm telling you, it'll put you apart from literally 99% of marketers out there. Even people who call themselves digital marketers don't know about this stuff. So this is high level, but it's super important for the philosophy. The next thing I want to talk about is attention, right? And the science of attention. Probably heard this word battered around everywhere in the marketing world. It's because it's important. The game about marketing is about directing attention. So one of the quotes that we got from a guy called Pete Cashmore, he says that we're living right now in a time where attention is the new currency. And that's because it is. Attention is the new currency, where your attention and other people's attention is almost more valuable than money and time, because it can get you both money and time. And there's a lot more scarcity with attention than there is with money. You can have as much money as you want, reinvest it, but your attention, once you've given it away, it's gone. So the attention game, we have three things that we need to master with the game of attention. And first thing is we need to be able to learn how can we capture a person's attention. Whether that means that you hold a flash mob, whether that means that you do something crazy on social media, whether that means that you say something really loudly to somebody. All of these things are things that capture attention, but you need to learn the science of how to capture attention. The same thing with holding attention. What is the science behind holding attention? And what is the science behind monetizing attention? Because once you know the science of capturing, holding, and monetizing attention, then you can engineer something when it comes to a strategy of how you can capture, hold, and monetize, but also not just engineer. You can take a look at when you've made a piece of content or you've made an advertisement, you can take a look at it and think, well, was that actually a good advertisement based on the science? Or was this just something that I put out there because I thought it was going to be a good idea? And that's when you start to take yourself to a higher level, and you can also become so much more confident in the game. So first things first, I want to go through capturing attention and the science of capturing attention. And when we're looking at the science of capturing attention, there's a great book that I would recommend. I've not even put it in this presentation because I'm going to recommend some books at the end of the presentation. But there's a great book that I would recommend that you read, and it's called The 7 Triggers of Attention. I think that's what it's called, or The Science of Capturing Attention, something like that. But it's all about capturing attention, right? It's the first part. So there are 7 triggers of capturing attention. And this is what it talks about in the book. And this is a simple overview of that. I'm not going to go into huge detail, but you just need to become aware and understand what they are. The first one is what we call automaticity, right? And automaticity is using specific sensory cues like colors, symbols, and sounds to capture attention based on automatic reaction to certain stimuli. So this is where, like the news, for example, they know that if we use the color red, that's going to put people into a state of fear, and we can sell the problem a lot easier. That's automaticity. But also automaticity is about how people can appeal to a person's primal needs. Like think about like appealing to somebody's animalistic nature. If somebody has a waitress in a restaurant and all the waitresses have their tops off, and the target audience is guys who are not only hungry but have just come out of a club, like everybody's going to go to that restaurant. Why? Because it's triggering that automaticity. So automaticity is important. The next one is framing, and that's adapting to or changing somebody's view of the world so that they pay more attention to you, right? So one of the things that we do on sales calls, for example, is we'll use framing to put ourselves out there as the expert. We can use a frame which is like the consultant frame. We can use a frame which is the doctor frame, the security guard frame. And when we come from that place of authority at that point, then another person is going to see you as somebody who they should pay attention to just simply because of the frame that you put on. And so how you frame the picture from the very beginning as to what the dynamic is and who you are in the conversation, that's going to capture somebody's attention. It's like the frame that they put on when Boris Johnson comes out on the television is, oh, this guy's the prime minister. So people pay attention because he's the person of importance. The next one is disruption. Violating people's expectations to change what they pay attention to. Okay, so this basically means that you're going against the grain, and the way that people are thinking day to day, you're going to say something that's completely opposite to what everybody else thinks. So for example, like let's say you're going to talk about building a business, and everybody else in that particular industry is saying, to build a business, you need to be able to hustle, you need to work hard, you need to give it everything, you need to sacrifice and all these things. And you're basically saying that, you know what, everybody that talks about building a business by sacrificing, hustling, and working hard, they're all lying to you. What's just happened there? I've caught your attention. Why? Because that's not something that I thought of before. I thought they were all telling me the truth. You're saying now that they're lying to me? Yeah, they're all lying to you. Why? Because you don't need to work hard. You don't need to sacrifice. You don't need to do any of these things. In fact, what you need to do is X, Y, and Z. You need to leverage. Automatically, that disrupts that market's attention because they might have all been following people like Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate's telling them that they need to hustle, hustle, hustle. You see? So you're disrupting attention. Now, with disruption, I'm not condoning to lie to people. But what I am saying is that you want to be creative as how you can challenge a person's way of thinking. And that's the beautiful thing about disruption. And then through that, you've got their attention. Next one is reward. So reward is about leveraging people's motivations for intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. So think about like how genius marketers will do this, where they'll basically say that, if we can give you this particular thing, then you get this reward. And again, like look at the genius marketers of the vaccine, where they said that if you take the vaccine, then we'll let you fly, as if flying was something that you weren't allowed to do anyway. But by putting people in to living in their own homes where they weren't allowed to even go out, so they're in lockdown. Of course, people are going to want to go and fly everywhere because they've been constricted and that desire has been repressed. So, what better reward to use than flying? So absolute genius. Next one, reputation. Using the reputations of experts, authorities, and the crowd to instill trust and captivate audiences. So reputation, again, it's very similar to what I said with the framing, because I probably didn't give the best example with the framing by using Boris Johnson, but I could use the exact same thing there, where somebody's reputation is now going to, just by who they are, it's going to capture people's attention. It's like, imagine if you were at a concert and you're at a concert which is a Beyonce concert, but then Jay-Z walks out as well. It's like, wow, that captures your attention. Why? Because you didn't expect that, and it's somebody else who you respect, right? And that captures a person's attention. Mystery, right? Mystery is another one that captures people's attention by creating mystery, uncertainty, and suspense to keep an audience intrigued until the very end. This is one of my favorites. I like to use this all the time, where I capture a person's attention by not necessarily giving them everything up front. So I'll create mystery by asking a question. What if there was a way where we could help you to gain £3,000 in passive income per month without having to put in any time, any money, or any efforts yourself? And then I'd stay silent. They're like, well, are you going to spill the beans or not? Through that mystery, you've captured a person's attention because you're not giving away the actual thing. So that's the beauty about capturing attention through mystery. Then there's acknowledgement, right? So acknowledgement is fostering a deeper connection because people tend to pay attention to those who provide them with validation and understanding. So acknowledgement is about you when you're in your content, or you when you're speaking to a person, individual. If you're to capture their attention, you need to say their name, for example, or you need to call out that particular audience. Hey, 9 to 5 workers. Hey, 17 to 18-year-olds. Hey, this person's name. By acknowledging that person, that's going to capture their attention because you're calling them out and they know that they need to be speaking with you. Like there's a great little passage within a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. I've got it in the recommendations. He talks about how if you don't do this, like people just won't even do anything. And the best example he gives is that somebody actually was like homeless, and they were on the streets. They were asking for help because they had no food, and everybody was just passing them by. Everybody was just passing them by. And the reason why people were passing them by is because of that herd mentality, and the person ended up dying. But the actual test that they've shown is that the same, like when they get homeless people and teach them, like go and call out that person's name, say, hey, you with the black hair and the dreads and all these things, like you've been fully acknowledged at this point. And that person is then a lot more inclined to help because you've captured their attention. So yeah, learn from that mistake. The next science that we're going to take a look at is holding attention. So holding attention, we have 7 categories of content performance that I like to use when I'm putting out my content in marketing, my advertising content. And the way that this goes is that when it comes to holding attention, really there's 3 things which we've got to focus on in understanding. It's the reasons as to why people come onto social media. And when we know why people come onto social media, we know why we are supposed to put out content. So I'm going to go into these 3 reasons a bit later on in the presentation. But for now, the way that you can hold a person's attention on social media is going to be through these 7 categories that you're going to need to test. And the way that you want to view it is that it's like a science test. So as soon as you crack the code as to what type of content works, then you don't need to change it up. And this is why the news, for example, the news doesn't change the news. Why? Because it works. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. They've done enough tests of colors. They've done enough tests of intros. They've done enough tests of setups, of backgrounds to figure out what is the thing that works the best. And I guarantee you they're tracking everything to see how well things are working. And so the 7 categories of content performance goes as follows. You've got the headline, which is just whatever is like the news headline, the thing at the top that people are going to see, the main title within your content. You have a thumbnail. The thumbnail is, imagine you're on YouTube and you're watching a YouTube video, but before you go to watch the YouTube video, you see the actual picture that's on there. And that represents what we call the thumbnail. The facial expressions of the person in the thumbnail, or even facial expressions of the person in the content. Like one of my best ad videos, which I'll show you if you want me to show you. It's an ad video that you might have come through as well, where I literally tested about 15 different facial expressions that day. Stupid facial expressions. And one of the stupidest ones that I used to do when I was like a kid is the one that people related to the most, and it got me the best results. And I tested that. So facial expression is something you don't want to discount. First 3 seconds is another one. What are the first 3 seconds of content that you have in every single video? What tends to happen? Is it you in the camera? Is it you away from the camera? Is it you with writing? You want to test every single part of this. Then there's delivery, right? So there's pacing, tonality, volume, the way that you speak in your videos. Notice that there's a certain way that people on YouTube speak versus there's a way on people on TikTok speak. And then there's a different way that people speak on Facebook. So that's because the algorithm will reward people based on the pacing, tonality, and volume, because that's just what people want to hear on those platforms. On TikTok, for example, it might be people talking a little bit faster with speed. But on YouTube, it might be people talking with a little bit more authority because they want to actually be educated. So you got to think a little bit about the pacing, tonality, volume. The best thing to do is just test it and also look at what else is working. Then you have the background, right? So the background is about what's in your shot. And you don't need to have an amazing background. Like the world is an amazing background. So you can just literally go out into nature as long as it's sunrise, sunset, good lighting, you're going to be able to get a great shot. So think about the background and be intentional with that. That's what you want to do. And then after the background, we have the intimacy with the frame. So your intimacy with the frame is about how close are you to the camera and how intimate are you being, not just in terms of the distance. Because think about it, if you're having an intimate interaction with another human being, it's not just about how separate or close you are. You can have very beautiful and intimate interactions with people, but it's more so about what is like the way that you're making a person feel. You know, are you making the person feel calm? Are you making the person feel anxious and stressed? Which sometimes works, by the way. It's not like a right or wrong. But how do you want people to feel in your content? And be intentional about that. And you can also play with the distance and things like this too. But think about the intimacy with the frame. It's really important. So those are the 7 categories that you can focus on to help you when it comes to holding attention. And then another one that we've got is monetizing attention, right? So monetizing attention is now about you've captured their attention, you've held their attention. That could be for minutes, hours, however long it is. And then after you've held their attention, now it's about monetizing the attention. And the way that we monetize attention, we do it through what we call the cognitive biases, right? So there are 25 or 26 cognitive biases, and you want to be able to study every single one of these. Notice that there's a lot on this sheet. So I'm not going to go through every single one here, but what you want to do is you just want to literally type into YouTube, into Google, the 25 cognitive biases, and I guarantee you're going to get a lot of information on all of these. And by understanding, you don't have to understand every single one of them, but you'll find that there's just a few which really work for you, right? So you don't have to test all of them. Like for me personally, I really like to use in my content the groupthink bias. Social proof always works really well. I like to use the bias, which is the which other one is it? Like the self-serving bias. So people being selfish. The availability heuristic. So all of these I like to use, and the reason why these work so well is because when people are making these quick decisions on social media about whether they want to take a next step with you, they're not making the decision based on them thinking it through and being conscious about it. What's actually happening is that they're making a subconscious decision, which is very impulsive. So this is happening, and it's just happening based on things which are a little bit more. So we call them heuristics, and a heuristic is anything where the brain is going to conserve mental energy because it is storing it up for all of their problems and all the other shit that's going on throughout the day. So you can bypass a person's conscious mind, go straight to the subconscious, and that's when through that heuristic, you're able to, with one of these cognitive biases, get them to take a particular action onto the next step. And that's how we then get to monetize content, because then we get to show them our offers. Right? So this is the important thing that you want to study, you want to understand. Another thing that you can take a look at if you want to research this, it's called impulse factors. So that's probably a little bit of a simpler way as to how you can put all these together. But yeah, I like to look at the cognitive biases because for me, these are a little bit more scientific and proven. So yeah, there's those which is great to take a look at and test. And here's what I really do, right? So I'm gonna attach something beneath this video. It's called a content journal. And the reason for why, like, I'm so confident in the content that I put out when I put it out that it's going to work and it's going to attract my audience is because I've literally tested it, right? I've tested it and I've kept a content journal where I'm just testing a different variable for every piece of content. So for my headline, for example, I'd be testing a different headline every single time, but I'd be looking to keep most of the other things the same. Right? I'm not trying to change too much of everything else, because if I change everything all at once, I don't know what's working. And also what I can do in my content is I can take a look at what are the things that have worked the best most often. And as I can see, like for me, like I've highlighted in green, the things that worked the best were like where I had this slight smile, and also where I had writing in front of my content on TikTok videos. So this is just a few that I tested there. So what you can be doing is you can test in the 7 categories of content performance. You can test in the capturing of attention and the 7 triggers. You can test in the cognitive biases and figure out what is the absolute perfect combination that's working for you. And then from there, you can become so much more confident in your content. So yeah, this is what I'll attach beneath the video. And you want to start using this content journal like it's your best friend. So then there's taking a look a little bit at digital marketing, because we hear this word all the time. What is digital marketing? And digital marketing is really simple. It's just marketing that is digital. So there's 2 different ways that we can do digital marketing. This is something that I didn't learn until later on, because I was taught first inorganic marketing, and then I was taught organic marketing. But neither one is better than the other. They just work differently, and they have different benefits and disadvantages. I would recommend that you take a hybrid approach where you learn both the science and the art of inorganic and the science and the art of organic marketing. So the thing about inorganic marketing, it just simply means that you're paying money. That's all it is. You're paying money. Organic is free. Now, just because something's free doesn't mean that it's better. But paying money is also great too. And I tell you the reasons for why I prefer, personally, I prefer inorganic digital marketing. The reason why, for me, it's a little bit more passive. Also, organic marketing can be passive too. But personally speaking, I have to actually put out content every single day if I'm to do organic marketing. Or what I have to do is I have to do a lot of work to make a great piece of content that people are just going to continue sharing and watching, which is a lot of difficulty and also takes time to get good at. So this is why I like inorganic marketing, because a person doesn't necessarily need to be that good, but they can put out content and just simply put money on that content. And through putting out money on it, it's going to be shown to more people. So yeah, inorganic marketing is, for me, it's a lot better. Personally speaking. But for a lot of people, they prefer organic marketing. Why? Because through organic marketing, like it is free. And also the good thing about organic marketing is that eventually you're going to get good. And so if you ever transitioned from organic to inorganic, you're going to have an advantage because you've put in more reps, you've practiced, and your content is just going to be better quality. So if better quality is put out in organic, in being paid, it's always going to perform better. Because essentially what the algorithms will do on these Google AdWords, Facebook ads, and YouTube advertising platforms, what the algorithm will do is just simply push out your content to more people. But if you're pushing out shit to people, then nobody's going to buy shit. But if you're pushing out gold to people, then more people seeing gold will buy more gold. Make sense? So this is the thing. I would take a hybrid approach. This is my personal recommendation. Don't look at it and say, I'm only an organic person or I'm only an inorganic person. I would recommend 100% taking a hybrid approach. And I'm going to show you as well an amazing strategy that I've developed personally after in another one of the videos where you can be using this hybrid method to really maximize your results. And this is a method that's probably the number one strategy that's worked well for me. So I'll be sharing that as well real soon. So organic and inorganic, you want to learn both of them. But then also we have traditional versus modern marketing. So traditional marketing is things like print media, trade shows, billboards, sponsorships, telemarketing, product samples, cold calling, direct mail, promotional products, broadcast media. And here's the thing, there are people who are making absolutely shit tons, millions, billions even, using still traditional marketing. Why? Because it works. People are people. Whether you do marketing on billboards and all those things, and you do it to the highest level, or whether you do it on modern marketing, that doesn't matter. It really, what the game is about is figuring out where is the attention. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of traditional people on the planet. The same way that I don't necessarily watch television, but my grandparents do and my parents do, is the same way that they're going to be giving their attention to still the television and also to the the news and all these platforms. But the younger generation is who you would be targeting a lot more when it comes to modern marketing. And it's not just the younger generation with modern marketing, because you got to think about it. Like, as much as my parents do watch all those things on television, they also have TikTok and they also go on social media. So modern marketing is, in my opinion, the superior option to master. Why? Because that's the future and it's also the present. Traditional marketing, I would say that what you want to learn from traditional marketing is the principles, not necessarily the intricacies. Because if you can bring the principles of traditional marketing to the modern marketing intricacies, then that's where you're going to be able to fully dominate this space, because it's the present and it's the future. So this is the kind of things that you want to be looking into, right? You want to be looking into call tracking, video channels, mobile apps, landing page optimization, email automation, content creation, conversion tracking, e-commerce, retargeting, websites, SMO, SEO, SMM, SEM, all of these things, right? This is all modern marketing. Modern marketing is not just about putting out ads. It's all of these things, right? So don't be overwhelmed by this and thinking, I've got to master every single thing, because really it's about thinking more like Bruce Lee. Everything comes back to Bruce Lee. Master one kick 10,000 times instead of 10,000 kicks once. Let that one land. And if you understand that, you're all good. So, next one is social media advertising, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how this works, because we have a few different platforms and everybody always asks me, like, which platform should I go on? Where should I be doing my marketing? And really, every platform has a different function and a different purpose to it, and also a different audience. So being able to look at this and decipher where you should be marketing, it shouldn't be a thing of what platform you like. You need to get that out of your head. You need to start thinking more about your buyers. Where are those people? Who where would you find your ideal person, your ideal client, right? Where would you find those people? And you need to go there. So if you know, for example, that you're selling something that's high ticket, then why would you go onto a platform where there's kids? Because kids can't afford high ticket. If there was a platform which is like only for 15 to 18-year-olds, you wouldn't advertise on that platform. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the great thing about social media is that social media has people who are over the age of 18. So in most cases, people over the age of 18 have a job, so be able to sell them something. But really, what you want to sell people is you want to sell people things which are higher value so that you can accumulate more. And this is why the actual best platforms to be selling things which are high ticket are platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and what's the other one? LinkedIn. The reason why these are the best platforms to be going on is because they have some of the oldest audiences. Instagram has an audience of 25 to 34, but really, I would say like the number one best one is definitely LinkedIn. If you're looking at high ticket, why? Because that's where the CEOs, the directors of companies are. Now, you don't necessarily need to be marketing your products to CEOs and directors, but all I'm saying is that that's like the best one, which we're looking at in terms of the ideal audience for the most high ticket product. But if you want to go volume, then you probably don't want to go to LinkedIn, because with LinkedIn, there's not actually billions of users, there's only hundreds of millions. Where billions of people are is on places like YouTube. And YouTube is another one of my favorite platforms because, again, it's like they've got all ages there. So those same people who are on LinkedIn are going to be on YouTube. It's just that on LinkedIn, it's a little bit more targeted as to how you can find the people. YouTube is a bit more attractive. So, yeah, looking at where volume is, I'd probably say that these figures need to be updated as well because TikTok will have a lot more than just 689 million users right now. But the volume is mostly on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. That's where the volume is. So if you're thinking to yourself, right, my product doesn't necessarily need people to have a lot of money up front, then I can go volume. And if you want to go volume, where you want to go is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And I would also include in there TikTok. So this is important to understand. And notice that every single one of these, the way that you post your content, it's going to be a little bit different because the purposes are different for all of them. And also they're best for different things and they've got different downsides to all of them. So this is some things to understand, to appreciate, but be more intentional about which platforms that you choose based on who your audience is and how you want to go about doing it. Okay, that's something to understand. And like I said before, 90% of people go into social media to be for three reasons. One of them is to be empowered, another one is to be educated, and the third one is to be entertained. People do go on for other reasons as well, but the majority of people will go into social media for these three reasons: to be empowered, educated, and entertained. So the type of content that you want to be putting out there is you want to put out content that's going to help people feel something, right? You want to put out content that is going to give them certain facts about something to educate them. And you want to put out content that's just going to be helping them to have more fun in their life so they can be entertained. So it's the 3 F's and the 3 E's. That's what I like to call it. That's why people go on that on social media. So if really you want to hold a person's attention and you want to become the best content creator and advertiser, and you're not doing any of these things, then there's no point putting out that content because it's not going to actually hold their attention. So that's something to understand as well. Then we have the anatomy of ads. So the anatomy of ads is just looking at, for example, when you look at the anatomy of a human being, it's the structure, it's the makeup of the ad, right? So when you look at these ads on social media platforms right now, you probably see sponsored ads all the time. Not just on social media, you'll see them on Google, you'll see them on websites, you'll see them everywhere. And there is an anatomy of a social media ad. So that's what I'm referring to right now. The anatomy of a social media ad looks a little bit like this, where you have number one at the top, we have something called a hook. And a hook is just that thing that captures a person's attention. That's all it is. The hook is the thing that hooks them in initially. And once they've been hooked in, now it's about being able to hold that attention. And you do that through two things, I would say. You do that through what we call the copy, and that's all of the writing that you have where you're explaining a little bit more about a certain topic that's helping them to be engaged, to be educated, entertained, or empowered. And then after that, you also have the visual. And the visual is something where, again, you can hold a person's attention based off of what we talked about by them either being educated, entertained, or empowered. So the visual is important as well because the visual can help capture attention as a hook. There's a great book that I'm going to recommend at the end as well. It's called The Hook Point, one of the best books written by Brendan Kane about how you can use different hooks within a copy and a piece of content to really grab person's attention. Then we have the headline, right? So the headline is join the school games, build your business in 30 days. Again, that's another hook. The hook doesn't always have to be at the top. It's just that the hook wants to be at the top as well, but hooks are everywhere. And we call this the headline because this is just another variable that can be tested. And it'll give you the option to do this within the actual platforms. Like I'll show you next. We're going to use a platform, which is the main advertising platform of Facebook, and showing you what they'll be doing in there. So we have the headline, and we also have what we call a CTA. Right, the CTA is important because it allows them to click a button to then take action. Because what does CTA mean? It means call to action. And so that's what you want people to do. You want people to take action on your content so that they're taken off of the social media platform, and then they're going into your real estate. They're going into your sales funnel, right? That's what we want happening. So the way that we do this in Facebook advertising platform, just as the one that I like to use the most, is we're going to use a type of advertisement. And the types of advertisement that there are is that we have different ones. We have awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Personally, I don't really use app promotion because we're not really running ads to apps right now, so you probably won't need to use that too much as well. But the main ones that I use are awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, and sales. And every single one of these is used for a different purpose. So the algorithm will work differently with all of them in targeting a demographic who is going to help you to bring more awareness to your marketing campaign, more traffic to your website, more engagement to your actual content, more leads that you can now start to contact and reach out to, and more sales who are going to actually buy your offer. But if you start out at sales straight away, one, Facebook is not going to like you because it sounds like you've never done marketing before ever. You don't know about the 5 stages of awareness and things like that. So they're not going to like you, and they're probably going to ban your account. Right now, I don't get my account banned. Like sometimes I'll get an ad which is disapproved because I think I can trick Facebook and I'm just testing it out. But really, I never get an account banned. And the reason why is because I know about the 5 stages of awareness and know that if I'm showing Facebook that I'm an actual quality marketer, then they're going to want to build a relationship with me. And so I build a relationship with Facebook by starting off at the awareness level. And once I start at the awareness level, I then move to traffic level. I move to the engagement level. I probably even move to engagement before traffic because I really know what I'm doing with marketing. And then after that, I'll move to traffic. And after traffic, I'll move to leads. And after leads, I'll finally move to sales because I'm going through the 5 stages of awareness and doing this in a methodical way. So I'll show you a strategy later on as to how we can help you to do this that also builds a relationship and gives you great results in terms of leads and sales. But it's important just to know that this is where we do it, and these are different types of ads that there are. So the next concept I want to talk about is omnipresence. So omnipresence, if you think about it like we use that word to describe God almost. And we say that God is omnipresent. God is everywhere, and that's what it means. Omnipresence is the idea of being present everywhere at once. And this is the beautiful thing about social media. Social media and marketing allows us to be everywhere all at once. And that's why people are able to make so much of an income because they're leveraging these platforms. They're leveraging these algorithms to put themselves everywhere all at once. And this is what, again, going back to one of those genius campaigns about the COVID vaccine, Boris Johnson in a second was omnipresent. He took over every single TV channel. And I don't know if that's how it worked, but he was omnipresent because he it was giving 1984 vibes, but he was omnipresent because he caught everybody's attention all at once on the news. He was able to infiltrate people's minds like all at the same time. It was magnificent. And then from there he sold it. He sold the problem, and after that the solution was given and everybody bought it. So that's omnipresence right there. That was the epitome of that. And this is what we want to do with marketing. You want to become omnipresent as much as possible. How can you be everywhere all at once? And you don't just have to be everywhere all at once on all social media channels, but you can be. And you want to think like, on some social media channels it's more difficult to be omnipresent because only a certain demographic is there. But for something like YouTube, it's more easy to be omnipresent because all ages are there, all demographics are there. So I'm not like being an advocate just for YouTube, but what I am saying is that have this idea in your mind for omnipresence. And how can you become as omnipresent as possible? How can you be everywhere all at once? Um, Once you have that as an understanding, the game changes. So that's something to aim for. Another thing to aim for is something called the dream client. And the dream client is about who is that person who, if they were to walk into the door, they would blow your business up. Like, your business would either blow up from a standpoint of it's your dream person to work with, or it's just your dream customer. They just come and they buy everything. That's the dream client. So what you want to do with the dream client is you want to be able to reverse engineer this by, first of all, writing them down. Who would that dream client be? And get really, really specific. With my dream client, I'm gonna break down exactly in another video what I've done. But essentially, like with the dream client, you want to know them so deeply that you know all of their fears. Like, you know them almost better than they know themselves. You know their fears, you know their desires, you know their expectations, and you know their results, right? So you know all of these things, and you want to know them upfront before you start putting out content, so that you can start attracting these people. And like I said, in another video, I'm going to break down exactly one of the strategies and one of the things that has worked for me, even though I didn't even know what was going on. I've now been able to consciously figure out, and I'm doing this now unconsciously as well, which is really cool. But I'm going to help you to start to manifest your dream client, which is one of the best marketing strategies out there. So yeah, we're going to go through that in another video as well, and that's going to be super powerful. So yeah, I just want to finish off with giving you some additional resources. I appreciate there's been a lot of information to digest here. So if you want, I would recommend watching this a few times just so that you can really take in everything that's shared over here, and you can start asking questions as well. But the best way that you're going to be able to learn is by not just learning from myself, but learning from the source. Think about it. Resources. It's because you go back to the source. Man, I didn't even know about that, but that's a gem right there. The clue is always in the word, right? So resource. So the resources that I'm going to give you, so you can go back to the source instead of just learning from me, is start learning from the experts. One of the books that is the primary book that my mentor Tom gave me, and he's another resource. One of my books that he gave me is a book called Start with Why, and I understand why exactly, because the things it teaches in that book are just absolutely amazing. It's not only giving you things which are good marketing strategies, but it's also all scientific as well, which I absolutely love. And this is what I noticed about my marketing. It's not just about psychology; it's also about science. It's about neuroscience too. So yeah, that's a great one. The next one is a book called Breakthrough Advertising. So this is the book that the best business people and marketers, they say that this is the Godfather book or something like that. It's like the one which inspired everybody else pretty much. Like, this is the main one. This is the Bible of advertising. And this is the one that you 100% want to read if you want to become God level. It's not one of the ones which is the fancy ones that you're going to see as one of the newer ones coming out, like Alex Hormozy books, for example. This is the one that's tested and tried through time, and one of the first to have ever come out. So the principles in this are just forever lasting. So it's really great. This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Seth Godin, if you watch any of his content on YouTube, he's absolutely incredible. He's like the advisor to everybody else, and people have him such a high regard. So you go and watch any podcast, and people looking at him like he's a god almost. He is a god of marketing, which is why he's called Seth God. Oh my god, I'm seeing so many things in this video. It's so funny. But yeah, Seth Godin, go and watch some of his stuff. The God of marketing. There is Alex Hormozy, $100 million leads. I would 100% watch some of that content that he has out there on YouTube, because he probably has the most business content right now on YouTube. Him and his wife, Lila Hormozy. So I would definitely watch their content. It's incredible. 100 million leads. There's also a book called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, which is by Robert Cialdini. And this is the one where you're going to really understand human psychology in how it relates to people making buying decisions more than any other book. So I would definitely read this one. It's super important. A bit more difficult to read, but you'll definitely find value in some of it. There's also Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab Jab Right Hook. So this is just a simple strategy, but it's more of a philosophy that he's giving in terms of how you want to sort of give first before you actually take. Then there's The Hook Point, and The Hook Point is a great book because you're really going to be able to understand how to capture a person's attention and some of the ways that the best people in the world are doing that. So The Hook Point is absolutely incredible. I listened to this one and it was amazing. And I just want to show you some of these people as well. So there's Simon Sinek, who, just go and study his stuff everywhere on YouTube and you'll be good. Same with Brendan Kane. Brendan Kane is the advisor to people like Taylor Swift. He's run their social media platforms, Justin Bieber, like all of the top people of the world, top companies. Seth Godin, again, he's done it for the top companies. And Gary Vaynerchuk. These are the four that I would recommend. But obviously there's other people out there. There's another guy who's just come to mind. His name is Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes is advisor to people like Tony Robbins. And if you can start pouring in their mindset into your mind as a marketer, like you're literally downloading their consciousness and putting that into your own business. So it's almost as if they're in your business, but they're just not working on it. You have them as an advisor, as their mindset, and that's what you have at your disposal. So it's absolutely incredible going and watching this. I would definitely put it into your routine every single day. If you're doing marketing, you need to be watching and digesting marketing content. And from doing that, you're just going to get the philosophy. And when you have the philosophy, that's the 95%. The 5% is the strategy. And the strategy is great. The strategy works, but you need to have the philosophy as well. Super important. So yeah, I know this has been a bit of a longer video, but thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you on some of the next videos. Bye for now.